Testing, meow, probably, meow. 125. Okay, cool. Audio is good. Love to hear it. Begin starting in just a moment. I am looking up something. My local YMCA. We had a storm come through the Houston area, and they are without a lot of places are without power. And there's a few places I want to go today, but two of them sent out emails they didn't have power. So unbelievable. All right, that's fine. I'll check again after wrap up here. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Anybody who was tuning into this video on this lovely Saturday morning. This is going to be a Vod review for Chicken Boy, who submitted one, I think earlier this week. First things first. Where is it? There we go. Oops, that's the wrong one. There we go. Yeah, I can zoom in on this. Let's do this. Maybe this will help. A little better. There is a lot of things you can do in the World Cup to be successful, because it's kind of it's designed that way. It's like here's a lot of power, um, here's a lot of cool stuff, so you're never short on offense, just so you can always consistently move the seed, not get detoured, and just learn what's going on, and then work your way, advance from there, whatever you would like to do. Once you have all the tools to be successful, whether you want to play really weird seeds, whether you want to play Ultras League, whether you want to play Boots League, or if you just want to keep playing Multi Cup. You can play Worlds Collide however you want. It's do whatever you want, design it however you want, play on your own, raise people in the various formats we have available, and other people have available, and go from there. But the World Cup again is just decide, hey, here's everything you're going to get somewhere else. You probably won't get as much of it, but learn how to use it and be successful. So tackling World Cup personally, if I were to race someone in a competitive format, these are kind of the things I would do and things I would approach and suggest to those that are also trying to do so. Um, a little few notes about World Collide in general. It's not super technical like a Link to the Past randomizer or maybe some of the other bigger randomizers out there. And it's also different because of the way the characters and espers are your progression, rather than the Ice Rod, rather than the Darkness Crystal or the Magma Key. Whereas you're not really gated too often by one spot. If you're gated by one spot, it's a character, and those do happen, but they happen few and far enough between that it's not ideal to sit in a longer fight to show off. Like, yes, you can, and in some really hard flag sets that end up in the seed of the week, are there's a preset called Kaizo that are designed to kind of like, you walk around with permadeath and no save or whatever. Some of those weird things, sure, they apply, but in most things you see people playing, it's really detrimental if your goal is to finish fast to do those type of things. Like, yeah, sure, you can be level 3 and beat a level 8 Doomgaze, but if your goal is to finish fast, doing that is counter-constructive to going fast, because it is just flat out faster to reset, go somewhere else, come back later when you have more levels, and it's not worth fighting a Doomgaze at level 3 or level 5 for 8 minutes for a Kieran Esper. Whereas in something like if you come from Free Enterprise or Link to the Past, it's more of once you find the ice, like if you find a certain item and a certain item you find in Link to the Past or Z1 or whatever it may be allows you to, like, clear a very wide portion of the game, and some of it may require like really technical stuff, whether it's glitches or exploits that are allowed in that flags that you're playing, or in Free Enterprise. I use Free Enterprise, so I'm familiar with it. Like if you run into Rubicante at a really tough spot, and you're just like taking on low level, you may have the equipment to get through it. It may take you a while, it may take you a few tries. It's kind of worth it in that format to do it, because if it gives you the Darkness Crystal, or it gives you the Magma Key, or if it gives you one of your objectives, it's a boon, right? The Kieran Esper is not really a boon in Worlds Collide, and there's 27 Espers, there's 14 characters, and again, even if the seed is gated by that one spot where this Poltergeist or Doomgaze that you're going to do a minimal fight through, again, it's it's a better approach to just leave, come back later when you're more powerful, or just to stop right there, walk around and want the same spot, get levels, and then try it again. So knowing that it's not super technical, the main thing to be successful, the main thing to work through the seed fast, is just get power. That comes from levels, it comes from killing dragons, the items they give you. Smello phone, my friend, good sir, and thank you, Jazer, for the raid. Good morning to you, Jazer, you fine, distinguished gentleman of honor. Yeah, you just get power and you clear game. You put your head down, you get your power, and then you just clear game, and things work itself out. You just pick quicker checks, you get through them as fast as you can, you find a boss, you display what you do and don't know about that boss to get through as fast as you possibly can, you minimize the number of turns your characters are taking, you minimize the time you're spending in the menu, you maybe get a little aggressive once you got a little power under your belt, and you just work your way through the seed, and eventually you stumble across the characters, espers you need, and then you beat the game. So that's the overall, one-liner is just get power, clear game, succeed, profit. The underpants gnomes go on to live happily ever after. How you get there is debatable, and I am a big advocate, especially in the World Cup. It applies in the Ultras League as well, but in the World Cup, it's even more of a podium I will stand on. Is always be killing dragons, or sorry, clobbering. Can't even get my own catchphrases right. I'm not good at this. Always be clobbering dragons. Not really picky if you're doing the Opera House. Not really picky if you're going down to Edge of Castle to do it, the Ice Dragon. But earlier rather than later is better. You don't have to do them all early, but if you just work a few in early, however it may be, whether it's Super Balls, whether it's casting Bolt 2, whether it's swinging and helping with Lumina procs, dragons slingshot you. They are the equivalent of grinds in the World Cup. Get off level 3, kill a dragon, profit. If you, we'll see when we get your video, if you kill any dragons or not. But they give you 12 items. Of those 12 items, 3 of them kind of help you clear the game. 5 of them really help you clear the game faster, and the other 4 are fantastic. And they may help you clear the game faster, they may not, but they're going to support your ability to clear the game later on. The only thing that really, like the worst thing I think you can get from killing a dragon is Minerva, and Minerva is arguably the best piece of armor in the game in the World Cup. So, kill dragons. Coliseum is incredibly broken because everything is visible. I wouldn't, not an advocate of going there every seed because you kind of get a lot of power from other spots. However, if you ever, at any point in time in the seed, if you were looking around and saying, hey, I could probably be stronger, this fight took a little too long, the answer is probably go to the Coliseum. Um, Everything being visible just means there's such a good chance that tonics turn into Illuminas or antidotes to experience eggs. And if you go there at a good, there's like always some sweet spots, like right before you start to sell everything for consumables or hold on to a few things, or after you bought consumables. It's debatable when you can go or not, but there's a few sweet spots. Like right after you're done with the looting phase, maybe right before Kippa's Tower when you've grabbed all those chests and all those mithril vests and Genji helmets are just sitting in your inventory, and you can see maybe what one of those trade into to spec for you. You could even go mid game. Let's say you've already bought Zen Thief at the start, so you really don't have much need to sell anything else. So everything else you come across, either through drops or chests, it's just sitting in your inventory. Some point during the mid game, perfectly fine. But if you're ever feeling like something's missing, the Coliseum is always worth a visit. Now if you like get handed, like say you have like a character start where you have a few free checks and they're giving you got Luminous and you got Experience Egg and you find one in a chest, and then the first the first Esper you find has like a Magic Power +2 and Bolt 3 or something. I probably don't need to go toss. You're fine. You'll get to a point where you realize when you're incredibly broken as far as party composition and what the game gave you or not, but if you're not sure, Coliseum. When you play, ideally, what I suggest, I think you're about 25, 30 seeds in. Maybe I'm wrong. As far as total playthroughs, I have no problem whatsoever when new players or players that are just like, starting out and working up towards an event, if like you loot the entire world. And what I mean by the entire world is Narsh, Returners, both South Figaro's, Albrook, and Thamasa. Hell, you can even go grab the chest from the crazy old man's house. I have absolutely no problem when people do that starting out with it. And I kind of like actually advocate for it because you don't know how to do more with less until you know how to do more with more. It's kind of like a confusing statement. I say it a lot, but it still confuses me sometimes. But like if you were trying to increase your strength and you want to like say you set a personal goal and I want to bench press 200 pounds. Not everybody in the world can bench press 200 pounds. I used to be a semi-professional football player, and I think the most I ever bench press was 210, and that was a long time ago, right? But if your goal is to bench press 200 pounds, you're not going to start off bench pressing 120 and then one day just be doing 200. You're going to hit milestones along the way, and those milestones are 125, 130. You're going to work your way up, and that's why I kind of say like you don't go from just learning the game to being able to just loot 2 spots and then going on. You kind of like want to start with everything. Here's everything. Here's the most possible things the seed can give you, and eventually like you'll reach a point where you're like, hey, I worked through Narsh, I worked through Return, South Figaro, and Albrook. When I with the Thamasa, like once I got that hero ring to go with the Thunder Shield, I kind of felt like that was good enough, and I saw that was good enough. And then you can kind of say, okay, Thamasa was unnecessary here, and then you start to realize that hey, it wasn't so much that was Thamasa that was unnecessary, it was that I had earrings and an elemental shield and a striker that always allowed me to get through my first fight. And then sometimes you find that striker and those earrings and the thunder shield. Sometimes you find them in Narsh. So you'll start to realize, hey, where the cutoff is of what you're found and what you're applying to it. But you just find that cutoff point better when you give yourself more to work and see around with, in my opinion. Um, Another thing is that when we're just trying to get power, or trying to clear game, when we got that power, we just want to always be minimizing the actions we're doing. Some people call it action economy. But the short of it is that if Cyan is casting Flare and Terra is standing around waiting to cast Fire 3 on a boss that's weak to Fire, all that time is Cyan is sitting there doing casting Flare. It's just time you're wasting that Terra could be acting to finish the fight faster. And there's no like real exact formula to display it, but think of DPS. Whether you're playing Diablo or World of Warcraft or even a shooting game, your damage per second that your party can output, you want to maximize. And unfortunately, the only way to maximize it sometimes is just to have not some of your characters act. Because they can't do as much damage as some of the other characters can do. Their ATB, your better DPS characters, ATB fills. Your lesser DPS characters, if they act, they're preventing the better character from filling stuff out or from acting. Plus, sometimes those weaker characters just trigger more unnecessary counters that is just either A, damage you or hurt your party, or B, um, it's just more animations going on the screen that you could have prevented. Um, and then last but not least, what I suggest is have an experiment mode. I know everybody wants to set PBs, put a lower number on the screen. Perfectly fine with that. However, don't be afraid to experiment. And I suggest having two modes. Like if Jazer showed up like, hey, Glue, race me tonight at 7 p.m. Jazer is getting locked in tryhard mode. I am not going to be walking around with a man-eater, trying to see if I can beat the sea with a man-eater. While I'm racing Jazer, Jazer is getting this version. Uh, when you are just playing on your own, or if you're just rolling C's from C dot, and you're not trying to practice like you're locked in mode, or you don't have anything coming up, or you're not racing or Ultra League Start, whatever it may be, I suggest playing with this mode every once in a while. So what's the difference? Why don't you just try hard every seed? Um, well, some seeds, especially Mobile Cup, like if you find discount fire rods, the fastest way through that seed is going to revolve around fire rods. Um, every video game at a high level, whether it's a sports game, a shooting game, or an RPG, the fastest way through them and competing at a high level all revolve around using the best guns, using the best plays in the sports games, using the best characters, or using the best items and abusing it. So in tryhard mode, locked in mode, Jazer challenge, drinks glued to a race, I saw a discount fire rods. I'm a fool to not use those and abuse those if my goal was to give Jazer the best possible effort I can give in a race. Um, if I'm learning and trying to experiment, maybe I have slots. Maybe I'm not super familiar with some of the wars or some other things. I would openly pass on spamming a bunch of fire rods the entire seed and then just use other things and try to make sure I'm solid. Like sometimes if you see a better player or opponent has been playing more, play through an entire seed with like a certain ability, don't be afraid to go roll a seed and uh, cherry pick the starting party on the website and just give yourself that ability and play through the seed with that ability and just force it on yourself. Um, one time I used to sleep on landslide quite a bit, and I watched Gar pretty much go through like the first 35 minutes of a seed to get unlocked, pretty much just spamming landslide with a cyan. I was like, huh, maybe I'm sleeping on landslide. Maybe I should start taking my dances instead of just picking one at will sometimes. Still kind of just pick them on wheel, but if I see a landslide pop up, I tell you what, I am not afraid to pull out the DDR pad. But, oops, let's get going. Play. I don't think these are going to start at the same time. That's fine. Yeah, timers are going to be way off, but it's whatever. All right, so I think I can speed myself up. There we go. Let me beat both of these. Um, I kind of like to kind of have a picture of where I'm going as soon as I see the starting party, and I think I've played enough where I can pretty much tell you where I'm going, and where I'm going with a Cyan start, Celeste start, Realm start here is we're gonna find earrings. We're starting with warp stones. However, if we didn't start with warp stones, I would probably uh, go to whatchamacallit returners after this, just for the extra check at warp stones if they're not in Narsh. But it's pretty much loot basement. If we find another character there, pivot because of Celeste checks, and then shop until we find earrings and warp stones. Maybe not a comical amount. We're not gonna maybe not do the entire world, but a good due diligence is going to be done that we find those two things. The biggest roadblocks that I see people run into in Worlds Collide are just early bosses that you just can't quite handle because your offense isn't developed. So that's why I like Mount Zozo first. It's my favorite opening check along with Imperial Camp and Cerberus Trench. It's just you're doing fixed encounters with the other two, and you're working towards a check. Whereas if you walk around a certain spot, like sometimes it's unavoidable. You start with no characters that you just can't do that with. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but if you're going to be doing fixed encounters, it's better to be doing them while you're in the process of working towards completing a check that you're going to do anyways. There's a nice shield. So unless I didn't find a character down here. I forget what it was in the basement, but this is a Mount Zozo start for me. Again, I have absolutely no problem. I didn't go to returners, but I have no problem going to returners here. Um, again, the more you loot where you're starting out, the better, in my opinion. Oh yeah, we found Setzer downstairs. I forgot. Oh, okay. So as soon as you see the super balls there, I wouldn't super. How much money do we have? We got the elixir or lance. We can walk out of here with like maybe 5 of them. If you want to walk out of here with 5 of them, I have no complaints about it. Um, I like this. Very nice. I personally would have parted with the Orlance. I guess the Orlance was in returners. I don't think I have one. Uh, but I would have parted with the Orleans to get 2 more Super Balls. There's a couple spots you would visit that are very Super Ballable, if that makes any sense. Um, one of those is Owser's because you have the save point right before the boss. When you find Zetzer's, another one is Daryl's Tomb, which is a save point right before the boss, and then obviously Mount Zozo. We're, uh, Magitech Research Facility 1, technically, because you're right there in the room. Um, whatchamacallit, Esper Mountain's kind of the same way, Realms check. Something like Opera House, I don't consider super ballable. And what I mean by that is, I really, really like with Super Balls going to a spot I can reset if I get really, really poor rolls and just give it another try. It's really backbreaking to go all the way through Opera House, end up level 7, 8, or 9 or whatever, waste all that time with those fixed feists and then run into tentacles or run into a poltergeist and you throw your super balls and then you do 500 damage and you're kind of like, well, I'm screwed. Um, Prioritizing or just picking a check that has access to a save point in front of it with super balls allows you to mitigate that. So you throw your super ball at Owser's and you're fighting Bumbaba and you're like, great, cool, I did 500 damage. I just reset and then go back and give it another go. And then sometimes the seed trolls you and it does that a handful of times, but eventually you'll get through it, and it's better than having to work all your way through Opera House again. Like if you go all the way, like if you find a bunch of super balls and you go all the way, like through decide I'm going to floating continent with these, it's incredibly risky and it can easily blow up in your face for the same reasons. Like you're just fighting through 3 fights and then ending up at a tough boss. And then if you have to super ball through the second boss or the first boss and you blow through them all, and then boss number 2 is right there and you're out of super balls and it's of the same difficulty, you just put yourself in a weird spot. But another great option with these super balls is the Opera Dragon for the same principles. It's easily resettable or savable, a little bit longer, probably at the same time it takes you to get back up Esper Mountain, but anywho, that's what I like to do with the super balls. Oh, fixed dice, nice. Order of operations here through South Africa is a little weird if we walk all the way across town. Hopefully you can definitely do it from the backwards, from the exit and loot through that way. And the water room, because the guy isn't there blocking you, so that you can get through. Oh, okay, cool. Um, this Osteo store on my side of the screen was pretty fortunate. It's not the best experience you can get in Worlds Collide, but it's free when you have Everybody's Phoenix down, so it was a nice. Um, I had I had an Ice Shield and a Thunder Shield, and then at the ×5 rate, you need 25. Uh, excuse me, 20. Uh, 20 ability points to learn the spell off of it, and that was kind of like what I'm counting here is just get my 20 AB, get Ice 2 and Bolt 2 on the people. I messed up and I put it on one of the elemental shields on Science, whatever. But Realm has one, that's what's important. Get the level 2 spell on Realm, and then that should be good enough to take down the dragon. I also got a little because I think I need like one more 5 AP fight here, and I'm level 10. This Brontor Evil Oscar is no bueno. Nice, we're going the back door. I like it. Anywho, this Brontor Evil Brontor is no bueno. I forgot I brought the Fire Rod. I'm going to make a business decision and get out of there. And one of the perks about Mount Zozo, there's 4 terrains. The outside of town, inside buildings, inside cavern, and then the cavern are the outside of the mountain, so it gives you 4 different terrains, get possible fixed encounters. However, this is kind of the drawback. It also gives the game 4 chances to troll the crap out of you. I was trying to get my Thunder Shield here because I was going to fire it off, but well, I was level 10. The good news is that scenario doesn't happen too often where game places you on level 10, then you switch terrains and it gives you a level 5 doom. Probably happens twice a year. But nevertheless, that's why I like Mount Zozo so much. It's a big RNG fest with the fixed encounters at the start of the seed. Sometimes people will get a good one and it slingshots them. Sometimes people will get garbage thrown in their face. It is what it is. For every time you get garbage thrown in your face like that, you get benefited with like free Dilodos or whatever. So yeah, this Cyan is awful. I was thinking like Realm and Celeste are A and B. They may turn into B and C at some point in time, but they're definitely A and B, and they're going to the final party. Setzer and Cyan were on the chopping block almost immediately. I also like to always be thinking ahead. It's like when you found that fixed dice, valiant knife, atma weapons, anything that can endure defense, you want to always be aware who can wear it. So it may not be like Celeste. I think I find a Ragnarok somewhere. Celeste walking around with fixed dice versus a Ragnarok. I picked the Ragnarok 9 times out of 10. That one time I would pick the fixed dice over the Ragnarok is probably going to happen in Kepka's Tower, or it's some of the bosses with tougher, higher defense. So that's why it's important to know who can wear things like fixed dice, valiant knives, atma weapons, the defense ignoring stuff, or to just drop those defense ignoring spells on maybe some characters you know are going to take solo lanes. It's just insurance for later on in the seed when you are fighting when the game throws a tough boss in front of you. It just gives you an out that you can prefer for earlier on. Plus, the first Esper had quick on it, which I think we get from Zetzer's free check. That just went on Celeste and Realm because I knew they were going all the way. So just let them learn quick, and I just we're not going to be spamming quick too often before the tower, but it just adds another layer of insurance when we get there, as far as what we can or can't do with those characters, and we know they're going there anyway. So let's put quick on them now and not worry too much about Cyan and Zetzer on the chopping block. Unfortunately, I am winning, not because I'm trying to win, because I'm trying to see some things for Chicken Boy and happen in real time as we talk into a Vod Review For album. And good day to you, good sir. Nobodywar. Good afternoon to you, you distinguished gentleman. Italian royalty. Do they have royal families in Italy? Or did they? No, they have families. I'm making air quotes, but I had my tracker up. Um, the correct answer that get people ask a lot is like, how many pieces of progression do I take where I start? And the answer is Chicken Boy's pretty newish. Not super new, but I don't think. Hey, there's that Ragnarok mention. I'm gonna say a few months. I don't have the Discord up, so I can't pull up when they join. But I've been in their stream a few times, and they've been a handful of races I've seen pop up in like afternoons when I'm at work, and wish I could play. This fight is naughty. So the way ability and skill works is based on what level ability, skill, level the enemies are at. They have access to certain abilities, and they have some percentages to kind of roll those abilities ahead of them. And it's like Skull Dragon was like right on the cusp of being able to do 10% roll fire 3 and throw it in my face there, so that was really unfortunate. I probably should have reset because he's not going to do that again. There is a chart on the wiki that displays it. See if I can find it. The concept of ability scaling is like, enemies will have access to late game abilities when you're in the late game, and early game abilities like Blaze instead of Fire 3 in the early game. However, what those exact abilities are is it gets a little grayer and a little more technical. I think it's Chicken Boy 20. It's Chicken Boy 25. No spaces, no underscores, nothing like that. Just straight up Chicken Boy 25. I think it's under flags. And this is a straight run from. I wasn't paying attention, but anytime you see the word L dot on your screen, the correct answer is run away. Chicken Boy's been playing for a few months. So you can rememberify level 10 and level 50 magics are undead. If you like rock into a fight really early, uh, it's not out of line to rememberify a level 50 magic because they can appear in one solo formation just for the ability points. However, if you're fighting level 80, 90 magics, level 70, 50 formations, there is no benefit to doing so unless you're like doing a charity marathon and people donate money for you to get trolled and get your face smashed in. Then yeah, sure, fight the level 50 magic for a good cause. But if the cause is not for a good cause, uh, get out of there. Always get out of there. It's not worth it. Speak of the devil, or the chicken, excuse me. All right, so um, I have 4 characters. I have 2 espers. Everything on my side of the screen is now level 12. That dragon did not push up my scaling, so I am level 15, but it pushed up my levels. So everything is level 12 that I'm fighting. I am level 15. If I go down there and kill this dragon, uh, I will be like level 17, 18, 19, and then everything else will still remain level 12. Uh, that will put me comfortably ahead of scaling. Will kind of like put me closer to that Ragnarok being a viable weapon sooner rather than later. That is my motivation here. Like I have some pretty quick checks still available to me, but I'm just kind of like doing this dragon. This dragon is like the tough boss insurance. It's gonna basically allow me to not die unless I run into level 5 Doomgaze or get really unfortunate with some boss luck. Um, the really trolly encounters like Dark Force is another one that you just nope out of. Um, the way a bit experience scaling works is really weird because it takes the boss's vanilla level and the vanilla experience and divides it, and then that's the multiplier it gets at Worlds Collide. Some bosses are really weird because technically Dark Force have more experience than Behemoths, but they're such a higher level that their number gets divided by so much more that it actually comes out less than Behemoths. So Behemoths give you more experience at Worlds Collide. Um, so Behemoths are just the better fight. Whereas you would think I fight Dark Force, right before I beat the game, wouldn't that give me more? No, Behemoths actually give you more. And it's true of a lot of other little things. Anything early game, like you fight before Sealed Cave, the experience totals are so low that it's not worth it. Other than your first few fights get off level 3. Yeah, dual Skybase you want to run away from. They give pretty good experience. However, as we saw earlier when I got level 5 Doomed, level 5 Doom is not the only thing they can do to wreck your day. Enochs are another one. If you can't one-shot the Enochs, you run away because they basically just confuse your characters over and over again. So it's not fun. And Tanger is a meme play. Again, it kind of falls under level magic unless you were dared. You don't do it. Anything really when you're ninjas, yes and no. There's some things that pop up on your screen when you're level 3, level 5, where you're like, okay, ninja can kill me, rain band can kill me, chimeras can kill you at level 3, because they have access to AoE water abilities. But it's a different story when you're like level 20 and you're fighting them like on the minecart ride or something, because they actually give really good experience. And that aqua rake they can throw out water res they can throw out at level 3, level 5 isn't going to wipe you at level 20. But level 3 and 5, it's definitely some alarm bells are going off when they show up on screen that you may not be aware of. But like, it doesn't matter if you're level 399, level magics and tingers, Enox. If you can't one shot the Enox, you run away from them. All right, Mount Zozo complete. I noticed we only have the one Esper, so that means we didn't do Zetzer's free check. I don't think we have to do the. You don't have to do necessarily all the free checks, all the quick checks right away. But I don't like to leave them sitting for too long, just in case in a racing format. If Setzer's free check is a Terra, or if it's an Esper with like Ice 2 and plus magic or something really game breaking, the longer you go without it, the more the person who may find it first separates themselves from you. Because they're playing the game with it more, so they have more of an advantage during that course of the game. It's a big old whatever if that type of character is at Opera House or that type of Esper's Opera House. It's a big old whatever if you want to go to the really long risky check early on and hope it's a game opening thing. More power to you. Um, but if it's right there out in the open that everybody's going to come across eventually, you want to find that sooner rather than later. And then what order you do that is a big old whatever. Whether it's Search the Skies or Doma Siege, they're both really fast, great checks. Whatever order you do them is personal preference and not a hill to die on whatsoever. But the hill to die on is just don't let them sit there too long. Don't go do all these really long checks when all these really fast ones available to you. I really like touching this painting. One, it's a good looking painting, and two, in the first half of your seed, the more stabs you give yourself at good fixed encounters to get ahead of scaling, the better. I think we're about to learn a lesson. Wait, is it these? There's two that start with an A that look like flower. Yeah. So it's character number 4, ideally, in your party in the end game, is not acting. Um, so if Cyan ends up, if you're okay with Setzer fixed icing, Realm doing Realm things, and Celeste swinging a Ragnarok, if Cyan is he just decides Cyan's being character number 4, that is perfectly fine. What you want to do with character number 4 is not worry so much about do they know Ice 3, do they know Fire 3, do they know my great spells. You want to worry more so about what can they do to support. Do they know Cure 2? Do they know Cure 3? Do they know Mute? Slap Berserk on them in case let them be the dedicated Magi Master Berserker. It's some form of instant death. Things like that is perfectly fine for character number 4. And honestly, ideal. I think I was fighting cranes. I don't even know what I was doing. I'll tell you what I was not doing. I was not fighting the cranes efficiently. Robites is a run away from if you can't just easily deal with them. I think it's 3 physical attacks and he's done though. Yeah, this is fine. We would have saved a handful of seconds from running away, but it's not like the difference between life or death or it's a free 2000 GP or Gil, depending on what year we're born. Uh, the chair that grabs you in this room, by the way, Hey, chicken lips for Chicken Boy. The chair that grabs you in the few ruins before this, that's the same fixed encounter as all of those flying chests. So if you let the chair grab you, you can see what the counter is, and then if it's a really, really good encounter, you can come back to those chests and take as many of those chests as you want. Well, I mean, up to as many. Absolutely not. I'm gonna pull up. How am I gonna do this? I have an idea. Maybe not. Let me try if I can find the tracker, the web tracker. Hit open paint. So you know what? I can do this. Apologize for the hidden color. Awful color. My wife said she liked it, so that's what I have to use. All right, so on the screen is my tracker. Let me see on my stream if you can see. Let me see if you can see my cursor. I don't think my cursor is showing up. If I go over here, so I go settings, capture cursor. All right, I'm gonna open this in Paint. Put it up. Screen. Actually, I'm gonna do this when that alert goes away. There it goes. There we go. Since you paused your stream, this is fine. I'm not missing anything that you got going on. Go ahead and pause mine for a second. Settings, window capture, paint. I apologize for the low-tech setup. There we go. Close enough. Paintbrush? It looks like a paintbrush. I hate Windows 11. And Burning House. Which one more is up for debate? So, oh hey, it's Poltergeist. Cool. You have your level 10. All right, with your enemies are level 10. Excuse me. This is a break class in case of emergency, in my opinion. I didn't see if the rewards character Esper, but this is where the Ice Rod and the Bolt Rod go, and maybe even a Thunder Shield. I would not be opposed to. Yeah, if you're trying, like my whole thing is, again, my whole philosophy is clear game. Just keep the momentum going. Good things will happen. This is a momentum stopper because if you can't get through him, you got to walk back out. You're gonna lose access to the check, obviously. It does tell you whether it's a character or Esper, or I mean a character or an Esper item at the end of this. However, I don't want to walk out of this. We've had a pretty good run. Nothing's really stalled us. We have a few things we can dispose of to get through this. I am all for, even if it takes a few attempts because we get Quasar, I am all for leaving everything on the battlefield here to get through this. All right. While you work your way through, oops, Poltergeist, let me get this size. Okay. How does this work? Make that bigger. Okay. That's how we'll do this. I'm going to mark all of the checks on the tracker red, and what I mean by red is they are the ones I avoid. Not because I hate Strago, but actually that's false. I do hate Strago, but just because they're just not ideal. Like your goal is to finish time. The same is true in Link to the Past. The same is true in Secret Mana Randomizer. The same is true in Free Enterprise. If your goal is to finish fast and you just don't want to waste time going to spot A when spot A is slower than spot B, and there's nothing that says you should go to spot A or spot B. If it's 50-50 on what could be there, just pick the faster one. It's not super technical. It's just owning a time watch or a stopwatch, excuse me. Let's go through. Burning House is on that list. Nothing Cyan has is on that list. I'm going to give a red dot to Floating Continent in the top right because it is technically the longest check in the game. Ancient Castle falls under the same category. Fine Terra. There we go. And Zozo. Yeah, not Ross. I forgot the characters I have. The yellow ones are, I would rather do the green ones first. But when you kind of like, the way the algorithm works when it's placed in the characters as versus items in the checks is it tends to favor the newer characters and independently the more characters because it has to fill out the entire tracker. So the green ones I prefer over yellow ones. However, if yellow ones, if we're in desperate character mode or just flat out new characters, whatever the reason, I have no problem with doing the yellow ones over the green ones, but never a green one over a yellow one, unless it happen to be right next door and it's a new character type situation. What was? That's Owzers. You're yellow. Over you are yellow. And then green are obviously go. They're the fastest possible checks in the game. Oops, I forgot a few yellows. It's hard to see when they're not highlighted, but I'll work back through. But Welt Gate, Seal Cave is like half yellow, half green. It's green early. It turns into a little bit yellow if you find Terra later. The belt is also kind of the same thing. It's half yellow, half green. I'll do this so it kind of like if you have Gal early and you have dried meat, there's no reason not to go do the belt and do your free level fight. If you dirty up if you openly decide to do a bunch of fixed counters and then go to the belt, I don't do that. If your goal is to finish fast, that's counterintuitive to doing that. Free checks here are kind of like whatever. All right, we're going to put green all over you. I'm not doing a very good job with this, but we'll get there. You are green. That's not very green. Let's put green over here. You're green. You're green. You're green. We're saving. You were green. You were yellow. You are Imperial Camp. So you're yellow late, little green earlier. You were green. You're always green. I love you. You're green. You were green. And I'm just gonna green this fellow up. He's fantastic. Love him to death. Okay. And also Zenith gets a green. All right, so if you can make any sense of that, those are the checks I like to prioritize. The green, um, red are the avoids, if all possible. Um, if yellows might be possibly be a new character, I might favor those over the green if it's convenient. Um, Same thing kind of applies to the red and yellow. If the red might be a new, it is more likely to be a new character over the yellow, then may take a stab at a red. Um, at the end of the day, if you're down to Burning House or Floating Continent, and they're both like Setzer, Strago and Shadow are character number 4 and 5, they're not starting party characters, and you want to do Burning House instead of gambling on Floating Continent because you just need one more character, I have no problem with that gamble. Or if you want to say, hey, I'm going to go to Floating Continent instead of Burning House, I'll give myself 2 stabs at a character instead of the 1. I have no problem with that either. Um, Picking reds over reds, it is what it is. There's arguments to be had both ways, but if you're picking reds over greens, that's what I have a problem with, and that's a podium I will happily stand on. But if you're trying to decide, do I do Lever or I do Opera House, more power to you, whatever you decide. There's no right or wrong answer. The right or wrong answer requires a spoiler log or to cheat. But to do Welt Gate or Elite River, the correct answer is Welt Gate. That's what I wanted. Let's make my stream up there. Oops. Oh, I paused it. That's why. That makes sense. You know, I'm just going to delete the source. Let me look at your track real fast, see what you did. We got Mog from doing Hauser's, no problem with that. Looks like we went and did whatchamacallit next. Daryl's Tomb. No problem with that. I do think we're leaving Doma Siege a little too long. It does happen to lead to Strago, which is Where is it? There it is. Let's get back side by side. Doma Dream is probably my favorite chick in the game, despite Yumaro preferences aside and his cave, wonderful cave. It makes me feel at home. All that wonderful warm feelings inside. However, it does come with an inherent risk. That risk is you have to go an awfully long way to get to the second portion of this fight. The fact that that's an Illumina actually ends up being a little bit of a blessing for me because of who ends up being here and how I have to deal with them. Going back to what I said earlier about knowing who can wear your fixed dice, who can wear your Valiant Knives, it doesn't rear its head as much as it will in the Cower. However, it is important to know that same information for bosses like this. Like if you run into an unfortunate Magi Master at Doma Siege, it's whatever. You can just reset because you had immediate access to a save point. If you run into an unfortunate Magi Master at the end of Doma Dream or unfortunate Poltergeist, it's a little bit more of a less so I can save and just go do something else because you had to go an awfully long way to get here to learn this information. So it's a little more important to bust out, switch the fixed dice over to a character that can use them, or pull them out of the bag and put on my character that can use them because they'll help in this fight, and we'll see why I bring that up here in just a minute. I know I didn't save there, and I'll probably, if I ever hop into your stream and ask you why you're saving, I'm beaming my behind off. Always save for this very reason. Uh, I this is I thought this break somebody was berserk, and it's an awful mistake to make because I am luckily my saving grace here for me on my side of the screen is that I am way ahead of scaling, so I can uh, somehow somebody get through this. However, I gotta get creative. So Magi Master is the most technical fight in Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide. It's the most nuanced. The easiest way to get through him is to berserk him before he can do wall change, and then you can just fire to him down because he can't change his helmet. Option number 2, as far as best possible way, is to reflect him. When you will cast reflect on him, he will start targeting himself because in the middle game he has Ice 3, Fire 3, and Bolt 3, and those will bounce off the reflect back at your party, and he tries to get around that. However, in Worlds Collide, that Fire 3 is replaced with things like Blaze or Flare Star, depending on where you're at with your scaling, and those technically will go through the reflect, so he'll damage himself as long as you don't trigger the wall change. Good morning, One Free Fits from 1000 AD, Land of Guardia. How you have internet in your prison is beyond me to get on Twitch, but nevertheless, good morning, good sir. I guess maybe they made some upgrades in that prison. Anywho, those are the two main ways to deal with them. Option number 3 is just do non-defense ignoring attacks to them, like your fixed dice, dispatch, short tech 7. Another creative thing you can do is you can quick, and when you cast quick, I kind of show it off here. I just got to it too late. You can cast quick, and don't trigger his wall change. Cast quick. You can do any element to him on the first action of quick, and it won't trigger his wall change. So basically, what you can do is you can cast quick, cast Fire 3, and then for your other turn, just like use a potion or whatever, and you'll never trigger wall change. It'll still fire things off at you, but what you do is just let that person quick over and over again. Maybe refill their MP because quick has a lot of MP that can cast on them. And I kind of show it off. I did this just to show it off. Like I cast Bolt 2, happened to heal them. Then I cast Ice 2 just to show that the Bolt 2 wouldn't trigger the wall change. What were the odds of the Bolt 2 healing him and the Ice 2 actually doing damaging him? Pretty low. Funny how that worked out, but my saving grace for me is the levels and quick, and then the Minerva Thunder Shield Ice Shield. The way Magi Master's battle script worked is on tiers 1, 2, and 3. He will pick a random fire, ice, or bolt spell that he has access to and throw it at you. On turns 4 and 5, he does 2 abilities to you. He gets to act twice on his turn. And then on turn 6, he can do some spicy things like non-elemental and instant death. And then he just resets. So it may look, so he kind of like, the things escalate around turn 4 and 5 because he's acting twice. So if you don't have the ability to ignore random elements, around 4 or 5 is when you pretty much run out of time. Super high evasion, so you can technically, there's a lot of ways to damage him. Dispatch is what I'm showing off. You can cast Flare, you can cast Meteor. You can technically swing with a Ragnarok and get the flares to proc, because the Ragnarok won't damage him because of his defense, but the flare procs will. However, Magi Master has incredibly high evasion, so that also applies to the Atma weapon as well. If you have a single target Atma weapon swinger, you can damage him that way. However, it is really, really hard or really unlikely that you'll actually connect. Yeah, as Fitz mentioned, one way to bypass is the sniper sight. Another common way is the offering. A lot of people don't realize this, but offering, when you swing on the offering, it can't miss. So it's fantastic for the Magi Master fight for that exact reason. Single fixed dice also can't miss, by the way. So single target fixed dice here will ignore the defense. You can also Runic, because while Runic won't absorb Blizzard, it won't absorb Mega Bolt. It will absorb Bolt 2 and Bolt 3 and things of that nature, spells you can actually cast. It won't absorb Quick, so you're free to Quick with your own character, as I was doing here, and then let Celeste Runic to try to capture some of the spells he's firing off to mitigate some of the turns he's doing. Sword Tech 1 ignores defense, so does Sword Tech 7. Sword Tech 6 is non-elemental, that will damage him. Sword Tech 4, he will slap away like it's nothing. Throw abilities, throwing the schemes you can throw at him as long as he's weak to that element. You can also cast Scan. You can also cast Scan and see what element he happens to have on at the moment. And then if you can't cast it on him, and then hit him again, and then he'll change. So there's a handful of ways to deal with them, some more niche than others, but oops, I gotta step aside for a minute. I'm gonna let this keep playing. I'll be back in about 2 minutes. Perfect. Good timing. We had an ad. Sorry, I forgot that. I forgot that I had to give a doggy a pill here in a minute. Um, of all the bosses, like generally the Kefis Tower and the later game Order One boss is the only one you really want to hone in as far as learning. Maybe knowing which ultra which is useful, but you don't need to know that. You don't need to know Chupon's battle script. By the way, Chupon's battle script was on his first turn he attacks, and the second turn he does a fire attack 1/3 of the time, or attacks 2/3 of the time, and then it repeats. You don't need to know that. It's worthless information. Cool to know and show off, but it's worthless information. However, what Doom does, how Doom works, what Magimaster does, how Goddess works, there's a handful of one. You could argue Dullahan maybe as well. Um, those are way more important to learn and hone on as the tougher 7 or 8 bosses. You can also Berserk Gold Dragon, by the way. Again, if you think you have Berserk, but it's actually Break, it doesn't apply to you, but every one of the 8 dragons has a status weakness you can exploit. Some are some end the fight. Like you can mute White Dragon, and if you mute White Dragon, the fight's over. You just gotta kill him. Same thing with Gold Dragon. If you berserk him, he can't punch you very hard, so the fight's over. You can muddle Red Dragon. You can't punch him anymore after you muddle him, but you can muddle him. I also decided right there with that Merton that I hated Cyan and he was getting replaced by Sabin no matter what Sabin did. So I was okay with Mertoning him and then speed this fight up. This was actually not the most giving World Cup seed. I said this a few times during the playthrough, but usually by now I have like 7 Illuminas and I'm level 50 and I'm hitting the A button over and over again. Not always, but usually like the general overall the power is a little bit more because I was 1 piece from full Merton protection. The only level 3 spell was that times 1 Ice 3 I finally learned. I had it for quite a while. Celeste ends up a really good character, but everybody else is kind of lacking. Yeah, I was like so not caught off guard, but I was like I like looked for a second, like maybe I should um I think I checked my progress and I also checked some of the flags at some point in time just to like make sure it's World Cup and wasn't Ultros League. This is not my unlock, but I had peaked Zen Thief earlier. I have a few, like, there's no good answer for Zen Thief. I just have a few principles of when to buy it. If you have no free, if you have no characters with like free starting checks, Zen Thief is almost mandatory. If you have 3 characters with starting checks, like a Terra, Locke, Celestar, or something like that, if some of those other starting checks aren't dead, you may want to hold off on Zen Thief. If you have better starting abilities, then maybe you're welcome to push the scaling however far you would like to do so. But I think in this one I think Zen Thief was like uh, north of 60k in the World of Balance, and I only didn't have the money and I was kind of done looting. So I just decided I'd buy it later. And then happy accident that we find Sabin around the time I was going to come up here anyway, so we get 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm also a big believer in the Tritox spot in the World Cup because of the dragon, all the wonderful things I mentioned and go on about A, B, C, D. But however, just maybe a little later in the seed. Like if it's your first stop, it's really awkward if you make it your first stop and then you find Yamaro almost immediately after. Then it's like, well. However, once you have a little bit of seed information and you're like, have 4 characters and 5 espers, or maybe a little farther along, it's entirely in play for me. I didn't when I was very gracefully pulling up the tracker and editing it. And it's high quality production. I didn't mark it off, but it's a green for me. Just a little bit more, a little bit of a playthrough to make sure I'm not going up there twice. Um, for illustrative purposes, I decided I was going to walk Kefka's Towers twice in case you weren't familiar with it, just so you can see it in action. Um, see what you got going on. Lone Wolf was not a character. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Even if this was a character and it would have been character number 7 for you, I have no problem whatsoever. Like, unless it gives you unlock in your final Kefka ready, I am always an advocate of doing Kefka at Narshan just to go down. There's no wrong time to do a Kefka at Narsh. It's just when you're doing Lone Wolf at the same time, unless it ends up being unnecessary because you're already like Lone Wolf gives you the unlock and you already have skip or some weird situations like that. But nice. I love a good Mastodon fight. As much as the next guy. So the Kefka Nash Spart, all of the green guys are the same sprite. All of the brown guys are the same sprite, are the same. I said sprite, but I meant the same encounter, except for the brown guy that was running back and forth in a straight line over and over again. That's the test rider fight in the vanilla game. He is a 1 of 1. Especially in some other flag sets. It kind of like if you come up here later in the seed, it might be unnecessary, especially if you've been doing some dragons. But I like peeking maybe the green one or the brown one just to see if it's a good fight or not. And if it's a good fight, it could be game breaking, especially if it's like one of the super experienced dense not bosses, but fixed encounters that are easily be clearable. It can really open things up for somebody. Once I get to the final fight, I'll pull up a seed and put it side by side and show how to peek some Kefka and our stuff maybe, but I'll let the full right tower player pen out first. But yeah, no problem whatsoever. Mastodons are a pretty good fight. They're not S tier, but they're probably like A, firmly A, not A minus, not A plus, but they're easily clearable because they're weak to fire. So they're like A. I give them like a 85. All right. So I, in my little one pager, that's the wrong. Of course, it's all zoomed out wrong now. I'll just paste it in the chat. Um, I mentioned action economy, and we are kind of showing an example of it there. Savin, or excuse me, Cyan doing anything there while Celeste is sitting there with Illumina Ragnarok in her hand is not ideal because Savin, I keep saying Savin, I mean Cyan. Cyan casting Bolt 2 and Realm firing off Vortex 6, and then Celeste standing there waiting for Cyan to finish Bolt 2 is not the most optimal way through that fight, or probably going to be any fight here, because one, Cyan has really poor magic power, and then two, Celeste has an Illumina and a Ragnarok in her hands. So while Cyan is casting Bolt 2, Celeste is standing there with a full ATB waiting to act. And it's only like a 2-second wait, but also sometimes that Cyan's Bolt 2 can trigger a counterattack, so that 2 seconds Celeste is waiting gets expanded upon while you're waiting for a Blizzard spell to fire off or whatever it may be. So it just kind of compounds a mistake. So you always want to identify the fastest possible way through your fight, and only let the characters that are your A and B characters act. Because there's a huge drop off here in both of our parties between our Celeste and our Realm, and there's an even huger drop off. Like it's almost like it's not even like varsity to freshman. It's almost like NFL player to junior high player between the difference between Celeste and Cyan at this point in time. All of these wolf also, by the way, are the same fight. Very nicely done getting through them. But basically, another sports reference would be like Celeste right now is an NBA player, and we're a basketball team, and Cyan is a freshman high schooler, and our goal is to win the game. So we're going to let Celeste to shoot the basketball. Now let Cyan shoot the basketball because Cyan will make far less of his shots than Celeste will. Um, so anything Cyan does is just a lost opportunity. Um, Times and Worlds Collide Seed are kind of like really misleading because there is a lot of time that everybody has to spend doing the same things. Like we're both killing Dullahan, we both have to watch Dullahan lit up on screen. We both have to walk past all of the little wolves or the Narsh guards to get to Dullahan. We have to watch Dullahan fade into blackness. So a lot of the time in our seed is predetermined. We're all going to sit through it. Um, so it really like it doesn't seem like much. Like Cyan cast Bolt 2 one time. It's 2 seconds that Celeste is waiting. But it's not just that it's 2 seconds out of an hour and 20-minute run. It's really like it's 2 seconds out of like 30 minutes that we have control over. So it gets amplified even more so when you take that into account. And that also kind of like amplifies, the discrepancy in openly choosing to do longer checks consistently. Um, if you, again, it's not, a 2 minute longer check out of an hour and 15-minute run or an hour 30-minute run. It's an extra 2 minutes out of the 30 minutes we have control over. And like there's large enough uh, sample sizes where some other things where you're not consistently losing races by those decisions once or twice. But when you make those decisions, 20 times in battle, when you make those decisions 4 or 5 times with your checks throughout the seed, it all just starts to add up. Everyone's favorite flying longhorn, half longhorn, half robot, Doomgaze. Yeah, Falcon Head has a saying: "Do long checks, get long times." Like the KISS principle sounds simple enough, but it also hurts my feelings when he tells it to me. Um, but it's true. It's simple, but it's true. Not backbreaking if you're Elite River enthusiast, but if you're Elite River enthusiast every time and you're Elite River enthusiast, and then you also play for memes and you're going to Burning House, sometimes it will work out, but those sometimes are like 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 11% type situations. It really depends on your party composition. I was level 29, I think, when I had unlock and I had 17 checks. I could have done Kefket Narsh plus what other checks do I have access to? Where's my tracker? I had a couple quick saving checks. I could have done Lone Wolf, not Lone Wolf, Try Talk and the Ice Dragon. I could have done Gold Dragon at my spot. I had access to some pretty quick checks. So I would not have been out of line to be level 20, the high 20s, low 30s to go the extra 5 checks to get my skip. If I was level 42 though, and I had a bunch of, I had like 2 god characters and I'm at 17 checks, I would consider it out of line to go get check skip that way because um you already have what you need to beat the game. You just got to get there, so you're better off going in. However, if you're not quite there, what you need to beat the game, or you're unsure, doing that and getting checked kind of covers 2 bases. But if you can beat the game, like my stance is always the same thing with the right lane skip, is if you can beat the game, no problem. Then don't split up the party. Just keep them spread out. I mean, do split up the party, keep them spread out, and just risk it. Like if you run into a tunnel armor and a Dullahan, not a Dullahan, Daddy Luma, those situations, like a lot of the bosses in World's FS6, they're pushovers, they're tutorial bosses at best. It happens more often than not than you would realize. Just go for it. Just like send your fire to character and hopefully it works out. And you know what? If it doesn't work out, that's fine. You're gonna walk the tower twice anyways. Um, go back down and reform your party. So if I can beat the game, I am splitting up the party and we're going for it. If I can't beat the game, that's when you want to walk the tower twice because those levels benefit you, or you want to go out of your way to go get the skip. Yeah, we're definitely on the just getting espers. I didn't end up doing anything in Magitech Factory because I ended up stumbling into Sabin into those two last espers. But if I can, with Celeste as a starting character, I like to save Magitech Research Velocity 1 and 2 because they can only be espers item to be my last two possible espers. Sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes you just get up with a bunch of espers and it turns out you need characters, so you may end up going all the way through it. Sometimes you end up with all the espers you need before you can get there. Um, Sometimes you find a tech missile or a Magitech ability and you decide to go there anyways. It's fine, but I like to start off at least with the idea that maybe I try to hold off doing all of Magitech Research Facility and I can just cherry pick the two nice parts of it. And that's really like a you're actually kind of stumbling into the perfect setup for that because you just need espers and you have it available to you. Um, the good news is your party is my party and your party is my party and your party is very similar in that our quickest way through fights are pretty much the same. It's realm casting, Celeste swinging, and maybe sets are throwing out a single target fixed dice if it's a tougher boss. Nice. I know I embarrassed myself earlier by not saving, but you're playing with fire. There's gosh, I forget. I should probably go add them up. There's about 40-ish bosses. And you have worked through 15, or excuse me, 11 of them. So there's 29 bosses left. And we know where Doomgaze is. However, uh, you're giving yourself about a 1 in 29 chance. Plus, there's a 1 in 5 chance you are divisible by 5. Um, it all adds up to a small percentage. However, that percentage is not zero. And I would fully expect if you were playing a person of equal character, I mean, equal skill in a race right here, and you consciously make that decision that I'm going to gamble that 1 in 29, that 1 in 5 doesn't play out, and you keep rolling that out there, eventually that 1, 2, 3% of that chance it's happening is going to hit. And I would fully expect someone of equal caliber to surpass you pretty comfortably if that situation happened. So in short, if that small percentage of that happening, that's small percentage of races that you would be racing against someone of an equal caliber of skill, you're just throwing in the trash because you wouldn't be able to make up over that time unless they did the same thing. When you don't take 2 seconds to save. Um, if you go look at ultrasleague.com, the standings are still up from season 8. Go to any, you can see all the races, you can see all the averages. Go look at anybody's go look through all the various races, go look through all the various standings, and you'll see the averages. There's not too many spots where a 2 or 3, even like a 10-second difference is the difference between some people. It's minutes, just because there's a handful of factors where you do and don't go. Things are out of your control. But again, you'll see none of those things are 10 seconds, and it's not because you don't lose races because you save an extra 3 or 4 times. The difference between you save an extra 3 or 4 times is not the difference between you having a 110 and a 130. It's the difference between you having a 110, 110, or a 110 straight out. Hey, there's a sniper sight. Sniper sight are incredibly cheap. I would say too, whenever you buy your initial batch of sleeping bags, buy 31, if not more. Um, if you don't end up using all 30, if you always end up leaving with seed with 10, 15 of them, it's a big old whatever. However, buying 10 and then having to go back and look for more uh, is a bigger time loss than whatever you may like if you're selling an extra imp armor or an elixir to get the handful of ones that you need. Um, just buy the ones you need now, so you never have to find yourself later off going back for more. Really, green cherries, antidotes, remedies, revivifies, Phoenix Downs. If you buy 10 Phoenix Downs, um, that's going to cover you. If you buy your 30 sleeping bags, that's going to cover you, and you'll never have to go back. Same with antidotes. You just got to buy 2 or 3 antidotes, and you're fine. 2 or 3 green cherries, and you're fine. But if you buy none of them and only 10 sleeping bags, you're going to have to go back. And that kind of goes back to when I mean like looting more often early, while you're at this stage as opposed to later, just so you can get in the habit of figuring out everything you're going to need consistently. I'm not super sure the specifics of what's going on with your party, but it's very similar to mine. It's enough similar to mine that I think this being side by side is kind of highlighting some of those things and allowing the differences to play out. My timer is actually at 106 right now. I'm gonna just turn that timer off. I don't think I can hide it. I can reset it. Yeah, I can hide it. Because you're at one, I'm at 106. You're at 110, so that timer's way off. But um, so a couple things. Having Cyan cast Bolt 2 just because like it doesn't like it rears its ugly head in time losses on things like Dullahan or whatever. And it's really hard to notice, but it sticks out like a wart on the final fight because there's a lot more things that trigger counterattacks. Um, especially like short arm. Short arm punches just really hurt. And it's not always guaranteed that you're going to end up with the armor you needed for short arm, and it's really niche. Like I don't suggest like you get what you get when you end up at the final fight. I don't think you need to go with the world for armor. You just got what you got. If you've been killing some dragons, you'll have the requisite levels to just power through. And just a little caution can overcome the armor deficiencies. However, if you're letting Cyan cast Bolt 2, if you're letting everybody act and you're overqueuing, um, it rears that those little warts that are just time sinks turn into losses and wipes on Final Kefka. Overqueuing is when you have person A input a command, and then person B you also input a command before person A finishes, and then you can put that all the way down to where you put input commands for your entire party, and then person A takes their turn and then invokes a counterattack that you didn't wish happened, or the enemy queued up their command between your inputs and they're going to act. And now what happened is now either the enemy has countered or taken their turn, and now you really wish person B, C, and D are not about to do what they're going to do because of what happened when the enemy countered or took their turn. And sometimes those situations lead to time losses. Sometimes those situations lead to wipes, but they're all easily preventable by not overqueuing and only putting your actions in one by one, wanting to see what happens and plays out, and then moving forward that way. You don't save any time by just having everybody queue up attack and letting it fire off. It doesn't save any time to let Celeste attack, sit there and wait. Let Realm cast IS3, sit there and wait a millisecond. It doesn't save you any time to queue them all up and just let it fire off. You're better served just waiting and then allowing the actions play out in orders that are favorable to you. Quarter Phantom on Final Kefka is always risky. I cast Phantom for the 10 hits and I healed myself to get rid of it. When your characters are banished, they will always be, whatever spell that's cast on them will always connect. So the reason that's risky here is because if I have banished my entire party to get rid of 10 hits, that's cool. It will block all the 10 hits. However, the next possible spells I will see thrown at me are going to be to quarter or dispel. And if he's throwing out quarter while he's muted, that means the fight's over. So that means I'm going up to the next. I can possibly go up to the next tier with my entire party having quarter cast on them. Also on tier 3, when your party has full banish on them and you're using banish as commerce protection, the same applies. One, if you go, like say I did the reverse order of operations, I killed magic first, so quarter can come out. Then I vanish to deduct the 10 hits. Vanish doesn't go away between tiers. The You can't see it anymore, but if you're vanished to duck the 10 hits on tier 2 and you go up to tier 3, you are still vanished. However, you just don't see it. And if what's his face sleep opens with whirlwind, that whirlwind will fully connect on your party because they're banished. Also on the back half of tier 3, when you're trying to do commerce protection with Vanish and Phantom, if your party's Phantom and fully vanished and Meteor comes out, Meteor will connect on all of your party members. So you just got to be sure and take a few extra precautions that you're not triggering a Meteor counterattack. I'm not going to go to, I'm going to into the final fight because the final fight's really more nuanced. I recommend using physics videos, series linked on the wiki, and practicing it with the practice mode because there's a lot of variables and those variables all around your party and what you end up here with to fully cover it. So the final fight is like you can know how some things work, and then you're just fine. But the final fight just requires practice. There's no way to see the ATB of where sleep is. However, with enough practice, you can get a pretty good sense. Plus, once you get the scripts down, you can know what's a counter, what was him actually taking his turn. And then once you know what's actually his turn and you have a feel of when his ATB fills, you can kind of have an idea of where you're at, how much time you have. I'm not going to pull it up, but I did that. Um, it was pretty crucial on a point not too long ago on a restream where I had no idea where I was. It looked like I was not in control, but I was fully in control the entire time. I knew where everything was at. Yeah, it's really hard to know where you're at as far as ATBs in tier 1 and tier 2. However, tier 3 and tier 4, because there's less parts on screen. Um, and you know what you can always use your own as a gauge. Um, it's a lot easier and an acquired skill to kind of know where Kefka and tier 3's ATBs are at, where you are in the fight, where they're at in relation to them being able to attack and take their turns. Um, you split your party up pretty much ideally in my book, like that. Celeste goes the right side because she benefits from the extra levels from taking the 3 fights opposed to 1. Realm is the B character, so she gets a fight all by herself. And then the 2 C and D characters go together. Yeah, because there's a pretty wide distinction between character A and character B, and between character B and C and D. Um, Sometimes there's a B and a C character, but there's really not much of a difference. And maybe character C is actually like fixed dice offering, so he doesn't really need support. He just needs a few fortunate rolls. Then you put the D character with the B character, and play fine. This was a pretty fortunate Ragnarok hit on my side of the screen because I was blinded, and definitely has pretty decent accuracy, evasion. All right, we have one more Phoenix down. We have an elixir. We have 2 mega elixirs. This is Break Glass in case emergency. This is everything must go. This is a huge possible time loss if we don't make this fight. This is a type of scenario where you could lose a race type of fight. This is type of scenario where you could lose a PB. This is the type of scenario where you really, really, really 1000% want to comfortably get through this fight the best way you can. There you go. Because one, you walked all the way up here from the last save point to the Guardian spot, so that's a really long walk to have to make that second walk again. So you want to be a little bit more liberal with your consumables, with any shields you may break, any rod you have left over. All hands on deck. This is like the ultimate all hands on deck fight, in my opinion. It's the first fight when you're full walking the tower. Whatever lane it may be in, but it's almost mandatory that you have to make it through this fight. Because if you die here, this is a wrist swinging fight. If you die here and someone gets through it, there could be some minutes that pass and come and go between someone of an equal skill level based on the checks you did, or the checks you chose to do, or what you found and didn't loot. Perfectly fine. It's a randomizer. We're not all taking the same path. However, if you lose this fight, any gap you had may gain with fortunate luck or routing, you would expect to lose, or any gap you had between you and your opponent that you were on the downside of is going to widen if you can't get through this fight. Last Phoenix down. Do you have a 10? We could 10 if we wanted to. I don't think we know life. Yeah, we do know life. There we go. Um, because we got the save point now, it's pretty important, obviously, to get through the Guardian because we have to, or get through the Guardian spot, who's at the Poltergeist spot, because we have to get through this to beat the game. It's less everything must go to for sure to get through it, but it's okay to have like an attempt or two before you part with everything. But it's still pretty important that to get through it now, get through the rest of this fight now. It's like a 6 out of 10 on the emergency scale, but it's a 10 out of 10 on the emergency scale when it's the Guardian's spot and it's your first fight after the walk up. Um, Another key to success for the Kefka Tower fights is one, mentioned a few times, knowing who can wear what. And then B, parting with the elemental shields. Paladin shield's kind of the extreme example because if you have the Paladin shield, everybody can wear it, and everybody can be nice, warm, and cozy behind it because it does so many great things. But to a smaller extent, less extreme extent, but the same concept. Your elemental shields can be shuffled around. They can be the difference between winning and losing in fights. So just be comfortable shuffling equipment around to make sure you get through fights. You don't necessarily have to do it before every fight because, again, you fight Dataluma more often than not in Kefka's Tower. But when the seed does roll some guardians up here, some goddesses up here, Doomgaze, this jerk, just be okay shuffling stuff around if you can't get through it. It's actually not a big deal with Cyan Axe here because Cyan acting is occurring while Setu's ATB is not filled and Rexel doesn't counterattack. So it's no big deal, even though Cyan's Ice Dews are doing eye rolling numbers. It's no big deal that he's acting there because Setu's ATB is still filling. You know, it's like a cool game. I've seen it a few times. I wasn't sold on it, but after today, and it's available now. Nice. I've tried to get into Formula One and some NASCAR and some IndyCar. I just cannot do it. I have a group of friends that like to go to a few events once or twice a year and make a road trip out of it or make a meetup out of it. I just can't do it. I've tried getting into soccer. Other than the United States World Cup team, I just can't do it. Not even like the Houston Dynamo or our college team. I just can't do it. Wish I could. Seems like it's fun, but I just can't do it. This doesn't register. Yeah, I don't think I've ever played Ninja Gaiden. Same thing with Castlevania. Unfortunately, I haven't played a Castlevania. Oh yeah, because it's about to be Survivor Series season. Plus John Cena's Rare World Tool. So the WrestleMania season peak interest is going to start a little bit earlier for me. I record SmackDown, and obviously you can watch Raw whenever on Netflix now. I don't think I've watched SmackDown in 2 months. However, it's a bummer we have Ice 3, then we run a number 128. Sometimes it just plans out that way. Um, all right, nicely done. Not a lot to say to number 128 fight, except just don't cast ice on them. You can technically steal a Tempest from them if you're familiar with the term Wind God Gao or Wind God Cyan. Wind God Gao is a technically the Tempest can give you the best DPS. This is not Worlds Collide specific. Don't ever do this. But Tempest can technically give you the best DPS in the game because it casts Wind Slash. So what you can do is offering Kenji Glove 2 Tempest and boost up the magic power of the character. Or in the vanilla game, obviously it's Cyan. Um, Boost up their magic power to extremely high numbers, and then when uh, Wind Slash triggers from the Tempest, it hits everything on screen, and it can potentially do that up to 8 times. It's the best possible DPS in the game you could have. It's not the most efficient because it takes a comically niche setup and a lot of time or espers to get the magic power up there. But really cool though. Um, Only thing I'm not super worried about the technical spiders. I just want to see how much you overqueue, the input, what's going on with your characters. Because my final fight was pretty much, Realm and Celeste doing 95% of the damage, and Cyan and Setzer supporting occasionally. You can get through the final fight. You just need one S character to get through the final fight. You can get through the final fight in tier 4 and tier 3 with comically low amount of stuff. It's just really hard to get there because you have to get through 2 other statue fights without that character in the party. You have to get through all these tiers that have multiple things acting. So you can solo this entire fight with just Celeste pretty comfortably because she's just about breaking the damage cap. Um, you would just need the other characters supporting her. No problem whatsoever. Life streaming everybody here. Yeah, I remember. I don't want to say lottery room, but weird room, definitely. I actually thought that was the Save the Yamaro planning meeting, but I guess I mistook that. So long arm is susceptible to break. Um, Pulls on tier 2 is not, but you can break long arm. That's how a lot of people remember it, is you can break the long arm. Um, but you can also waste the death him. Breaking or waste the death him is far faster than Cyan doing 3,000 damage fire threes there. Plus it's less turns, so less has to do on it. Um, Good order of operations. A short arm can always potentially counterattack every time he's attacked 2/3 of the time. And when you finish him off, the same counterattack applies. It can come out as a death counter 2/3 of the time. And as you're familiar with, his punches hurt. So you just want to be careful with the death blow. Did we sword take 8? I missed it. Sword take 8 is another form of instant death that can't miss. It can miss, but if it misses, you'll share the clip and we'll all laugh. But nice job of weight chicken here with Cyan. Uh, we are casting Fire 3 on something we can just have Celeste one shot, unfortunately. Um, Tools battle script is whatever. Magic's battle script is whatever. In my opinion, the important thing to know is that if you can't mute him, Muddle can possibly come out on turn 2. Everything else he cast at you, you have access to. So he's not throwing Blizzard, but he's throwing Ice 3 at you possibly. So you can runic a lot of his stuff. As far as what he's doing what turn, it's less important. Um, the important thing to know about, though, in my opinion, is Tiger. Uh, Tiger has 30,000 HP, and when he has about 2/3 of his HP gone, he gets really spicy. He will do an AoE attack or freeze the party or party members, and then he can follow up with Doom Tusk. So he can get 2 turns in a row, and both of the things he can do are kind of debilitating. So when you start targeting Tiger, you want to be all or nothing. Like there could be a scenario where you target him one time with Celeste and you think you're just acting, but some unfortunate procs can push him into that Doom Tusk or Bust phase. And good rule of thumb is if you're going to take down Tiger, um, take him down all at once. Just go on through him and then don't stop. In the Moogle Cup, multi-summon is on, and multi-summon, short of some of the later World Ruin Espers like Bahamut, maybe Tritalk, maybe Terato. Technically Crusader is great TPS. It just does a little bit too much TPS everywhere. Um, you don't summon Espers too often. However, on the final fight with the Phantom and Golem Espers and Fenrir, it's perfectly viable and strongly recommended to be willing to throw out Golem, Phantom, things of those natures multiple times to prevent this. Uh, there's no problem triggering the Mega Elixir here. Realm's running low on MP. Setter's weak. Since you have 2 of them, there's absolutely no problem because it's giving you 2 turns in one. And it's not even guaranteed that you need to use both of them later on. Right now, Chicken Boy's timer is around not to pass the 135 mark. On screen, they have their PB for the time they ran the seed display at 134. So, considering it was the most Moogle Cup seed, and we're not going to PB it, but we're going to be on the final fight when we're passing that general time frame. It's pretty impressive. Um, if you ever play for PBs or just want to be a PB grind or whatever you want to call it, there is no rule whatsoever that says what seeds you do not have to play. So if you're just trying to play fast, there's like nothing that says you can't just play with only good parties, whether you're rolling them. The flag settings and then giving yourself those parties are just cherry picking. And like the better starts to me are like shock, if the flags will house it. Shock is obviously also probably the preferred start if given the choice. Second up there is throw, war, rage. Those are all the S tier starting abilities that a lot of those great seeds tend to revolve around. You can end up there without it, just because all of the fast checks you do happen to give progression lead to more fast checks, and it's just the way the seed got placed. But with great starting abilities, you're allowing yourself great access to have really good offense in the weakest part of the seed, which is your first few fights. Nicely done. Um, I didn't mention it, but I'm not opposed to breaking shields on tier 2, especially if you don't have instant death. Um, like if I don't have instant death and I have maybe like 2 or 3 shields and one of them is a thunder shield, I'm entirely cool with partying with one of them on tier 2 because it will do double. It's like it can essentially do like 30,000 worth of damage in one turn with one shield, and you don't get the same value out of that on tier 4 as you would tier 2. Not opposed to breaking a shield or two on tier 2, but no shields ideally leave the game here. When you try to blow past the Fallen 1 phase, which is about 30,000 damage, you want to, on the turn that goes past it, if you can help it, you don't want to just like creep over it. You want to blow past it as much as possible. Like you don't want to do 25,000 worth of damage and then have your next character just do 6,000 worth of damage. Even if it requires you eating the Fallen 1, sometimes it's okay to like push him up to like 27, 28,000 worth of damage and waiting and eating the Fallen 1, and then allowing your S tier character, like your offering BK user, to just absolutely blow past that 30,000 threshold in the Goner phase, as opposed to just trickling over and doing 31,000 damage to him. I think we have full life 3 here, so we're okay to do what we're doing, but we are in Hyperdrive Havoc Wing territory. So when his head is on screen, right about now is when his ATB starts charging again. So when his head's on screen and he's telling you jibber jabber, telling you to go play Beyond Chaos, you want to let everybody's ATB be filling, um, because Keka's ATB doesn't fill until his head disappears from screen. So you can put yourself in a scenario where you can possibly get a character to act twice during the Goner charge if they act, like you queue them up, they act, and then their ATB's, their speed's been boosted or whatever, or they got haste and they can get it filled up again. In that case, your realm had 0 ATB, um, and you were queuing in some actions, so that you risked realm not acting because you're letting Kef get to the part where his ATB could fill up, um, and then realm sitting there with no ATB, and then when it starts to fill, so is realms, and then while realms waiting to act, other actions are going off, and he could have snuck in before you. But ideally, absolutely worst case scenario during the gunner phase, you want all 4 of your characters to at least 1 turn. GG's. 1:39:31 was the final time. Golden Shocker, good afternoon to you, good sir. Um, Alright, let me go back and paste this in the chat. One more time. Alright, GG's. Again, I try to put all the thoughts or points of emphasis for this in that little one-page Google Doc for you, Chicken Boy, and anybody else watching. Of the approach, things I did, put them up side by side. They're the secrets to going moderately fast. The secret to going really fast is to roll the seed 7 hours before you go on stream, and then tell people you just rolled it, and then magically find 2 balls in your door. And fly over Doma Siege 7 times and say you don't feel like doing it that day when it's Magi Master 4 Force Armor. But yes, those are some general approach tips for Symbol Cup. Not all encompassing, but just some general get power. Step 1, get power. Step 2, question mark. Step 3, profit. But just general getting power, clear game as fast as you can. Things of that nature. For Chicken Boy and anybody else that happens to be watching. I think I'm going to transition to something. I think I'm gonna play that Ultra Sleeve nobodywar sent me. In just a moment. Let me can you switch scenes? Some collections. Oh nice, you can. I didn't know you could do that. I did not know you could do that. I know you couldn't switch profiles. Let me get everything set up to play an Ultra Sleeve seed. Thank you again, Chicken Boy, for allowing me to do Vod review request for you, my friend. Oh, we got a sync race going on. Let me get into the right Discord. I got a bunch of things that for Enterprise Discord. Let me see. You know what? I think I'm gonna do Nobody's Worst Seed Share, so I can do a spot review later this weekend. I got time to maybe play one, but I don't think I'll have time to do both later, so I'm gonna do that now. But I appreciate the offer and the challenge. Also gotta do some Jet to Time stuff this weekend. There's his, let me say it. There's his video, and where's his seed? I hate that this is open up in Edge. I need to set Chrome as my default browser. me just open this in Chrome. Get out of here. Windows 11, I hate you. We had it right with Windows XP. Why did we change? All right. Stream titles updated. I guess I should open an emulator. Guess I should open SNI. Alright, so I have like an hour and some change, so I'm kind of cheating here because I know he set a PB on it. So not going to take too long. I mean, it still could. Nice. Nobody's perfect. I think that's how you say that. But it shouldn't be a super long all things considering, so I got some time. Nice, cool. I can turn this music off. Already not a fan of the hash. Not a very good hash in my opinion. I hate to break up Kiwi and Millie because they're being best friends at the moment. I'm gonna go to the restroom before I get started. I will be right back. Go back on the doggy bag, Kiwi. That was a lot chewier than I thought it was going to be. Thank you for the good luck, sir. I'm going to play it, and then I got to leave after this, and then I'll do the actual VOD review. Side by side, I can do it for Chicken Boy. I can go from there. I know your time, obviously. I know it's a PB, but man, that's one chewy protein bar. Not a fan. But see, it's been a while since I played Ultras League, I think. Let me make sure. It hasn't changed in 2 years, but let me make sure. Yeah, still appears to be Ultras League. A lot of the same things for Mobile Cup apply to Ultras League, just it's less extreme. The dragons still can slingshot you, give you power. It's just gonna give you power a small percent at the time, and it slingshots your levels. And once you reach a point, you're pretty overpowered, and it's just they help you get there sooner rather than later. So, timer. Let's do this. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, we're doing basement. Probably doing all in tech. This might be a 4-piece of progression start. So we do M-Tech, not M-Tech, basement, belt, Zen, thief, collapsing house, and then right in the trench. Hero ring is always nice to find right off the start. Genji shield will pay for everything here. Let's go get rid of you now. White dress, no. Dried meat, warp stones. Sure. All right, we have just enough for 4 earrings, possibly. No earrings today. Not to toot my own horn, but anytime I feel like you get stuck shopping in Narsh, you can't get out under 140, but when you find a Genji shield and you're willing to part with it, that's how you get out of Narsh under 140 and shop. I'm a big believer in coming returners with a purpose. If that purpose is only to grab chest, then I tend to like go somewhere else. But because I really want dried meat and warp stones, I also want 15,000 GP. But dried meat and warp stones, it's worth the extra check. No, I don't want to join you in your battle. Can we find these at least? These. And you. Alright. Also believe if you come here, just loot the damn place. Why not? You can always get beads in the really long room. That was awful. I parallel park better than that. Jesus. Alright. Yahtzee. Goodbye. Goodbye. And goodbye. And goodbye. Alright, this is weird because I really want dried meat. I really want you. Excuse me, sir. This is going to be one of those things where dried meat is in a chest down here or somewhere. Every time I find dried meat in a chest, I'm like, one day I'll have Gal in the starting party. I'll be at the tail end of the looting phase, and I'm like, man, I really wish I could find dried meat right here at this spot. And that's going to happen today. Also need to remember to grab the Celeste Ward. That was totally in the back of my mind. All right, one warp stone. Ribbon. Okay, close, close. Okay, okay. In the chest. Heal rod. A lot of consumables in chest down here, just not the one I'm prospecting on. Come on, one time. Could be like nothing but tonics and Phoenix Downs and remedies down here, just to troll me. Swear to God. Swear to God. Come on. Oh yeah, I parked all the way over here. I would probably trade saving for some dried meat right about here, assuming it's not in this shop. I just want to know. I need to know right now. Hate you, game. Actually, wouldn't have been supposed to keep in that. Okay, that's the most expensive Thunder Shield I probably ever bought, but whatever. Excuse me. Please, please, please. Thank you. It'd be drag me in the chest in here, but I'll probably walk out with 4 more elixirs. That's a sign. All right. I'm pretty much committed to the dry meat hunt. We're gonna dry meat hunt, Pepper Trench, and then we are YOLOing in the Magic Research Facility. You can keep your Rocks and Luminance for sale in the weapon shop. I don't want them. What are your abilities again? Sure. You get first dibs. Let's go. Screw you, Bolt 3. I don't want you. Dun, dun. I hate options with dance. Alright, if he leads to a character, this is gonna get plan's gonna get thrown in the wrench real fast. Let's go see. Bye. Good riddance. Eventually, I'm not a madman. Eventually, that's going over the cyan. All right, here's the plan. I may use a dragon just to teach Shadow Bolt 3 at some point in time from that Strength +2 Esper, but we'll use that like when we do the Ice Dragon later on. If the powders here are really poor, we're going to do Trench as well. Surface Trench, excuse me. If they're good enough, I think I'm good enough to just go into some boss fights after this, possibly. But Power Demon is not ideal. Great first fight, but I don't want to see that fight in spot number 2, 3, or 4. I have a rod. Alright. Made an executive decision. I'm gonna make one more executive decision. Play a little game. I think I'm wrong, but it's worth a try because nobody's ATB is filled. Sounds right. That was actually a really, it took a little bit longer because there was a lot of things on the stream, but that's actually a pretty good Imperial camp. Get the fudge out of here. No trench today. They have a mobile charm on, right? Yeah. Sure. Yeah, when you walk in level 3 and you walk out level 18, it's worth it to get rid of Thunder Shield, in my opinion. Because breaking the Thunder Shield in that first Soul Crusher ball fight gives you the levels to take on the next one. And then the trick. Oh, son of a bitch. You happen to have Berserk on that Esper, did you? Nope. Great news. If he's there, it means he can't be down here. I have next to no defense now because of that Thunder Shield brick, so I need to grab every chest that's within reason for the foreseeable future. And that's the reason why. That plus 9600 GP. If you invest that and you can get 11% return, you can essentially double your money in a few years. You know what the great thing about ice shields are? more defense. Nice. That's like the one thing I had the one hero ring, but now it's Yamato and what's his face get one? Sabin. This is not ideal. That was secretly incredibly fortunate. He only targeted Yamato. Well, not secretly. It's like obvious. It's really fortunate. Come on. Thank you. I did not think I was at risk of using a level 3 spell at any point in time there. Alright, so thinking ahead a little bit, I have one dragon in my path, for sure, the ice dragon. I've had 2 dead checks. I am probably not getting check skip. However, it's a pretty good progression to time invested ratio, whatever you want to call it. However, I don't have any more dragons in my future, so I don't have any more unnecessary checks. So it's going to take some dead checks in my short to immediate future to push me to getting a skip here. Sure. So I'm for sure ending up with at least 3 because I'm going to do the Ice Dragon spot. Plus the 2 I have, the Thunder Shield and that offering. I can always do Atma Gold Dragon because it gives me at 5. So that's just a matter, do I stumble across 5 more, or 3 or 4 more? Oh, 3 or 4 more to make going out of the way for 1 more. And obviously if I stumble across 5 more, I'm getting it. But 3 or 4 more plus those 2 plus the Alpha Dragon put me there for sure. But if it's nothing but progress from here on out, I don't end up with check skip. And because I'm not super tilted one way, characters or Espers, I'm probably not ending up with character Esper skip. So at the moment, all signs port to this is a regular walk-up Kefka's Tower. Let's show it off. Here's a cool looking little lamp for you. Let's go. Left flex fire. This is bold. Well, let's see if we can trigger a Doom Gaze. Yeah. Esper. You should probably get a real Esper. That's kind of a real Esper, you'll take it. You're gonna learn all of that, and then we're gonna put that in a shadow. Relic. Probably get one of those. So you know what? We have Tech Missile now. It's a mistake. Plus, if we can get Ultima on you after this, we can go take down Magic Master after. Looking ahead of the lanes in Kefka's Tower, it's looking like Celeste gets her own lane. Saban is probably going up the middle, just so he can continue to get levels and strength from his Strength plus 2 Esper. And I'll let Shadow and Yamaro hold hands in the lane. Genji Glove, Illumina, another Ragnarok. Oh wait, I can't get a Genji Glove and another Ragnarok for saving. Whoops. Son of a bitch. Alright, now I really can put Ragnarok. I still need to find defense from something or somewhere. This is perfect because this puts Shadow certainly in probably learn Ultima territory. Yes, we're just doing it. Probably finish the fight before I try to pull up my tracker on my phone. We only got 5 and 4. We're at 5 and 5. 5 and 6. I think this is going to be, let's go see what's going on at Give on the Belt. And then after that, I'll decide between Magic Master Tech number 2 or Floating Continent. Buy 1 Warp Stone. Sure, why not? Five and 7. I think if this teaches me the Ultima, then we'll go do Magic Master. Because there's going to be Ultima and a few Tech Missiles and we'll be fine. Maybe we'll get fortunate with some Body Slams. This will definitely teach him Ultima. If I was going to Body Slam one of them, I would prefer the Concrete Claw one. Here we go. Alright, from that, it has to have like 20 GP in it. Oh, nice, another Warp Stone. I forgot about that. We're just going to turn all the money we have into whatever's for selling the armor shop here. If we're buying Mithril Best, so be it. Sure. Nothing some optimizing won't solve. They're all better. Where's the new Respironics? You know what? One's a little slow on the other one. Actually, I heal before I come in here. It's a little bit of a mistake, but it's a big ol' whatever. Alright, Saban's unfortunately not going to survive this, but it will help everybody else. Roll change. Absolute 0. Ultima GG. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I was confused about what turn I was on. It's fine, we got this. I believe. Mario doesn't have the island command. Unbelievable. The amount of disrespect. I just can't. Please be Esper friendly character. You're kind of an Esper friendly character. We're gonna roll with what we got. Definitely a Valiant Knife friendly character, I tell you what. I didn't say before this, so this is incredibly foolish and risky, but you know what? It makes you feel alive. If this is an Esper, and Weapon Shop's an Esper, we'll have sub 40 block, which is a good feeling. If it's not, Phantom Train, Floating Continent is not an option. Opera House, I think, is not an option. I think Mount Colts is probably the move. Yeah, if this is... Actually, it wouldn't be that bad if this is item or item. Yes. I promise this one I will try not to immediately break after. No guarantees, but I will try. Mount Cold seems like about right here. Nope, that's water. Mount Cold isn't water. I don't remember what Esper I took off of Celeste there, but it doesn't matter. Just go. This party's pretty B+ right now. It's just nobody is breaking the game, unfortunately, at the moment. And part of that's because a few people have missed out on some levels in some of the fights. Mainly everybody but Yamaro. So I may have to fork the Aqua Dragon into this somehow. I'm probably fine. Plus the whole, somebody said the PB on the seed means we're probably not waiting for dangerous stuff to get this tower. I'm gonna try to ignore that piece of information. Son of a monkey. Just curious, what do you do, my friend? Also like Rage Against the Machine, it's a nice band. Oops. Closer, check skip. All right. Sitting on a Genji Globe, we're sitting on an offering, so a lot of things that can benefit of us, and I have a plan. I can mute you, but I'm just gonna go for it. As long as it's not on Celeste. It's on Celeste. Alright, it's fine. I don't have to revive and heal here. I'm just going to set everybody up for each final push. I don't actually want you to take that. I want you to take... Stuff. And then calmness protection. Oh yeah. How do you do this? We need 3 checks, but one boss did through those 3 checks. So let's do this. You there. like my Yamaro stance, I'm the only person that believes in Yamaro. I'm also the only person that I think that believes in this, so. Let's see anything else. Sure. You have earrings, my shadow. Yes. I, in theory, should have locked y'all up first before I save. This is fine. Oops. Yeah, see, it's fine. We'll Yamaro crying. She did one work, which was important to this. Like a B+ rage list, I would say. Bogey for the physical stuff. Some pretty good get by stuff. Or to open the seed up with stuff like Power Demon and sorry, I forgot what I was just in there. I just forgot. Yeah. This. Damn it. Necessary. I'm warping out here in a second. Don't you dare. That's what I thought. So far for our troubles, we got a Force Shield and Ice Shield, a Genji Glove we can't use, plus whatever this guy's going to give us. It's going to give us a Quake. Okay. Goodbye, realm. You gotta be kidding me. That's fine. What are the odds of it happening twice? Barely 100% of the odds. What was that? I don't need to heal y'all. Fine. I want my fixed dice back. All right, I still maintain that that's the correct play in that scenario. Sometimes you get quick twice in a row, so be it. Celestials work. Sometimes you get quick twice in a row, but it's all in good fun. Mule, where are you going? Saban's gonna be breaking the door 999 anyway, I think. So I don't think he'll benefit too much from the levels. Celeste will actually benefit just slightly. I do need to do save its fight first because there are some things he probably could have trouble with. That's the less wooden, so I'll switch them if this is one of those things. If not, we're fine. This is kind of one of those things. I don't know the defensive stats of tentacles off the top of my head, but I guess I was wrong. I was wrong about how much you'd be doing exactly. Oh, do you want to have that? Oh, yeah, take that. We're gonna give Golem to Celeste because that's on that Shadow's MP is actually critical resource, critical-ish resource. Eltros. Eltros. Stick around for maybe one more turn, Eltros. Okay, now by Eltros. Damn. I'm just glad I was able to finally show off a gravity rod in the ducted environment for the first time in a year. Gravity rods are underappreciated. You get Golem, and I actually realized multi-summon's not on. We're just gonna bowl with it though. Cast it twice. Actually, you can't even cast it once. That's my bad team. It's a daisy. Well, I know the time I was Nobody War did, and I'm not going to beat it. So, we'll be admittedly a little weird, like, hey, here's how you can improve it. Just don't do what I did, which you didn't do, so that's why you beat it. But I think I have some ideas of how this didn't go for him. I can definitely tell you didn't eat 2 quakes in a row after doing 3 boss fights. This was a really good showcase, though, of how it's really just you don't need much. Ragnarok Strength plus 2 Sabin, Tech Missile, Celeste, whatever the hell Shadow's been doing the past few fights is just caught on when he needs come in, and then Yamaro just doing Yamaro things. You don't need much. I think you're alive. Did you learn instant death? No, you did not. Didn't you learn instant death? No, you did not. Okay. This is all fine. You know instant death. You know, bro. So you can stay back there. I thought that was fire too. I don't. Do I need glasses? It's my wife, right? Slow down just a little bit. I gotta go figure out what I'm gonna do for lunch. Everything is closed because a pretty powerful storm blew through the area last night. Not everything's closed, but everything I want to go to is closed. I need to go to. So I may just go have lunch by myself. My wife's at work. There's really nothing here. And then go to the grocery store and come back, do the Vod review, or do something else. Yeah, I watch the Today Show every morning from like 7 to like 7:15ish. And the weather this week, it was like in the high 90s here. Not high 90s, but like low 90s-ish here. In Minneapolis, where a good chunk of some of my friends live, it was in the 30s. And then in the Northeast, it was even colder. So it's like a 70-degree weather difference between the North and the South here lately. But it is getting down to like the 60s this week, which is really nice. And I go to Austin in 2 weeks for a few days, and it's not quite yet where the 10-day forecast is telling me what's going to be there, but Austin is generally cooler than Houston just because it's not humid. I'm really looking forward to it. Tired of the heat. I should be ice looking in this guy. Yeah, like the storm that blew through here knocked over some trees, knocked over. We have an umbrella in our backyard. We put it up, so fortunately it went. But if we didn't put it up, and I didn't like happen to notice it, it would have flew away and like been a large javelin last night. It was pretty weathery. Unless Yumara goes Super Saiyan, we're going to do this first. There he goes. Do that. And then this. Gonna sit on that. I'm okay with that outcome. Fire off the one thing I've been saving. Should do that. Should do that. We got 2 of them, so why not? Let you morph now. I must have missed the memo that you were at that time. It's fine. Let's play a little game called Where Did I Put Golem? You know what? Doesn't matter. Don't need Golem. We got Interceptor. By playing it safe, I was playing it wrong all along, and that's why Yamaru is the best character in this game. Here I am, you know, lollygagging around, misplaying this, not being suboptimal, and the entire time Yamaru was just dragging my inefficient behind up through all these tiers, and I'm just like, where's my golem? I need golem for columnist. And like, nope, Interceptor, block. Yamaru's like, let's go, we got a game to win. A lot of people would remedy Shadow first, but I need to remedy my MVP. I'm not sure if it's Caesar or not, so I'm going to do this. See, just let Interceptor block everything. Got a 64-page guide on the wiki written by a very intelligent person, but the fact that that piece of information is not in there is a disservice to your mind. Oops. You know what? You're not the only one who knows Ultima, my friend. Everyone survived. We beat the game. Our final time was 1:11:15. Nothing to see there. See, we're done. It's official. Yamaro tanked it. He beat the game, and the credits rolled. All right. More seriously though, on a serious note, I'm gonna do the actual VOD review later-ish, either tonight or tomorrow, and go from there. I have a pretty good, like that was a pretty generous seed. Not the most generous seed of all time, but pretty linear plus pretty generous equals fun time. So thank you for sharing, and I'll do the VOD review and actually try to dive in. Like, sorry I didn't give like a better illustration of things you couldn't do because I forfeited, but without the Trolley Quake, though, I think I could have beat the 106 you had, but I wasn't really playing it to beat or not beat. I was just playing it to see what was going on. Nevertheless, uh, I'm gonna go be a productive member of society or try to be. I don't see y'all later. I don't see you later today. See y'all guys around. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Let me see who else is playing this wonderful game. Uh, Barry Blizzard, but he's doing a race. Let's raid Mr. Fitz. I'll have him on before I leave, I guess. All right. Thank you guys again. See you around, if not sooner rather than later.